The apple that shook the world. Can a falling fruit change how we see the stars? In 1666, Isaac Newton was a young man of 23, living in a small village called Woolsthorpe in England. The world was not calm. A terrible sickness, the Great Plague, had spread through cities like London. Schools closed, and people hid in their homes. Newton, a student at Cambridge University, had to leave his studies and return to his family's farm. The farm was quiet, with green fields, stone walls, and a big garden full of flowers and fruit trees. One warm summer afternoon, Newton sat under an apple tree in the garden. The tree was old, its branches heavy with red and green apples. The air smelled sweet, and bees buzzed around. Newton was not like other young men. He didn't care for games or gossip. His mind was always busy, chasing questions no one else asked. He wore a plain shirt and vest, his long hair tied back. In his hands was a notebook filled with strange drawings, circles, lines, and numbers. He loved math and science, but he felt stuck. Why do things move, he wondered. What holds the moon in the sky? That day, Newton was tired. He had spent weeks reading heavy books about planets and stars. His eyes hurt from squinting at tiny words. He leaned against the tree, feeling the rough bark on his back. The sun was low, painting the sky orange and pink. He closed his notebook and looked up. The leaves moved gently in the wind, making shadows dance on his face. He thought about the moon. "It's so far," he said to himself. "Why doesn't it fall like a stone?" Suddenly, a small sound broke his thoughts. Thump! An apple fell from the tree, landing on the grass near his feet. Newton stared at it. The apple was round and red, with a tiny dent where it hit the ground. He picked it up, turning it in his hands. "Why did you fall?" he whispered. Most people would laugh and eat the apple, but Newton was different. His mind started to race. He looked at the tree, then at the sky. The apple falls to the ground, he thought. Does the moon want to fall too? Newton stood up, his heart beating fast. He paced under the tree, kicking grass with his boots. The apple was still in his hand. He dropped it again, watching it hit the earth. "Something pulls it down," he said. He thought about stones, rain, even birds landing on branches. Everything fell toward the ground. But why? He sat again, opening his notebook. He drew the apple, the tree, and an arrow pointing down. "A force," he wrote. "A force pulls things." His mind jumped to the stars. He had read about planets moving in circles around the sun. What if the same force pulls the moon to the earth, he thought. He imagined a giant hand in the sky, holding everything together. But it wasn't a hand. It was something invisible. He called it gravity. The word felt right, like a key opening a locked door. He wrote faster, his pencil scratching loud in the quiet garden. The sun began to set, but Newton didn't notice. He was lost in ideas. He thought about cannonballs. "If I shoot one far, it falls slower," he said. He drew a hill, a cannon, and a ball flying out. "What if I shoot it so far, it never falls? Like the moon?" His drawings grew wild. Curves, circles, lines crossing everywhere. He laughed, a rare sound. "The earth pulls the apple, the moon, even me." Newton stayed under the tree until it was dark. The air grew cool and stars appeared. He looked up, seeing the moon glowing white. "You're falling too," he told it, smiling. He felt like he found a secret, but he wasn't sure. "I need to test this," he thought. He knew math could help. He had learned about numbers that could explain movement, formulas from men like Galileo. He would use them to check his idea. The next day, Newton went to his room. It was small, with a wooden desk and shelves of books. He worked for hours, writing equations. He measured things: apples, stones, even the distance to the moon. His mother called him for dinner, but he forgot to eat. "Just a minute," he shouted, his pen moving fast. His sister Hannah peeked in. "Isaac, you're strange," she said. He grinned. "Maybe, but I'm right." Weeks turned to months. Newton kept his idea quiet. He was shy and didn't like fights. Other scientists might laugh. "Falling moons? Silly," they'd say. But Newton worked on. He wrote letters to friends, asking about stars and math. By 1667, the plague was weaker, and he went back to Cambridge. There, he shared his thoughts with a few people. "Gravity," he said, "it pulls everything, apples, planets, everything." Some nodded, others frowned. Years later, in 1687, Newton wrote a book, Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, or Principia. It was long and heavy, full of math. He explained gravity, how it made apples fall and kept the moon in place. The book changed science. People read it in England, France, even faraway lands. They called Newton a genius. He didn't care for fame. "I just watched an apple," he said, laughing. Newton grew old, with white hair and deep lines on his face. He became a leader at Cambridge and helped run England's money. But he never forgot the apple tree. It was still there, in Woolsthorpe, growing old like him. Visitors came to see it, asking, "Is this the tree?" Newton nodded. "Maybe," he said with a wink. He liked the story, even if it grew bigger than the truth. In 1727, Newton died at 84. His ideas lived on. Today, we use gravity to send rockets to space, to land on the moon. Scientists still read Principia. The apple tree is gone, but its story stays. A tale of a young man who saw a fruit fall and asked why. Newton once looked at the stars and thought, "Can one question open the sky?" His life said yes. From a quiet garden, he gave the world a new way to understand everything.